Alrighty, hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope everyone's staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. I'm joined by the Gotrek to end all Gotrex, Mr. Andrew Bigwood. How are you, buddy?
Getting there, not too bad.
And so today, here on the Narrative Show, we're going to be talking about Daughters of Khaine, but in particular about where did Daughters of Khaine go from, I guess, after the events of Broken Realms and Morathi, because quite a bit changed for them in that. But before we get into that topic, we have a ton of Warhammer Age of Sigmar news to digest and sort of chat about. So we're going to get cracking on into that first because there's a ton of it to get into. And so to start off with, we've got the how to use cursed city models in your games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all this? Happy we get to use them all?
Yeah, I think they're going to be obviously doing that with all the satellite games, probably Blood Bowl excluded. But yeah, they're such beautiful figures. To get them on the table, is amazing. The more guys we get on there, the better.
Yeah, you're getting rules for what we get shown in the preview. We've got the cool ass witch hunter or vampire hunter with his stake launcher underbit.
Yeah, very Mordheim.
Yeah, Judgment as it's called. We got a little bit of rules on him. It's if an attack made with Judgment scores a hit, the attack sequence ends and you roll a dice. If you roll at least double the target's unit's wounds characteristic, one model from that unit is slain after all attacks have been resolved. Yeah. If the result is less than the target's wound, the unit suffers a mortal wound. Cool.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, can easily remove model. I mean, against like some 3-wound characters could be pretty good. Like 3-wound models be all right.
Yeah.
They're going to get Octron Glimscry, which is the weird-looking magi dude.
Yeah, with a really cool beard.
Yeah. And he's got Withering Hex, so as expected, he's a wizard. The unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. In addition, for the rest of the battle, any unit affected by the Hex subtracts 1 from their movement. So it's a permanent effect.
Yeah, see, that's handy as well. I mean, you can see him working his way into armies.
Yeah, like that. I mean, anything that affects movement, like movement penalty spells, we saw for a while, like Zabag get used in Gloomspite armies just for having a movement spell.
Yeah, especially against the really speedy armies that are coming out now.
Yeah, I mean things like Shagoffs. That's why they get seen in Beast of Chaos lists.
Yeah.
Now this guy is interesting, Gorstav the Gravekeeper, and he's really cool when we start looking at, I guess, the reveals after this, because he buffs zombies around him. Oh, sorry. You go.
Yeah, the model itself reminds me of the, Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro, that sort of twisted, Eastern fairy tale stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, he's a really, really cool model. He's got a Ren 1 damage D3 weapon with 3 attacks. So like he's going to actually be able to go into some chaff and maybe do something.
Yeah.
And he effectively has the Necromancer rule when he's around zombies. And it's set, it doesn't give us a rule, but it tells us he can summon zombies as well.
Yeah, see, that's the Dead Walkers are cool, so maybe we'll see a few more of them.
Yeah, and I believe this is the last one that we got shown, which is the right. Let me find the name so I can pronounce it. The Vagskier.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
It looks like the old Strigoi from Vampire Counts.
Yeah, very Strigoi. And it's got bounding leaps, so you can attempt to charge. It's pretty much got the Prosecutor's charge rule, the 18-inch charge rolling 3d6, and can declare within 18 instead of 12.
Yeah, it's almost a replacement for the Skin Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, look, if it is, Skin Wolves are cool, but if this replaces them, I'm pretty happy with that as a replacement for Skin Wolves.
Yeah, nicer model.
Yeah. And then we got a little bit of Black Library Cursed City news as well. So do you remember on the review when Cursed City got revealed entirely, they said that there was going to be an extra character if you brought the book, like the novel? And so they revealed who that is, and it's Morvrail Albrecht, which is a Death Wizard. And if they had shown us the entire cover, you can see him there at the back.
Yep, there he is. So, which looks very similar to the old Amethyst Wizard.
Yeah. Yeah, and so yeah, he literally is just using the Death Wizard model from the kit. That's it. And so you've got him, and you can get the cool Cursed City as a limited edition book, which looks amazing. But let's get into, I guess, the bulk of what our news section is going to be, and it is the Faith and Damnation online preview. And there's a lot to get through. We're just going to look at the Age of Sigmar stuff here because that's all that matters. Soul Black Gravelords.
Yeah, a lot of people been waiting for these.
Yeah. And good morning to all those who are watching the show. We see you there. The Blood Knights. Damn, they are amazing.
Yeah. Update for the old models and given the AOS treatment, lovely.
Yeah. No, big fan. They hold quite a lot of similarities with the old Sculpts, hopefully taking away the price. It'll be weird to have a kit that actually comes down in price.
Yeah, well, anything, with fine cast bits is always hideous.
Yeah. And yeah, I do reckon these are actually going to come down in price, it's just going to be weird. Because I think what are they, 165 for 5 in Australian?
Yeah, something stupid like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got the cool skeletons. This is one I wasn't expecting to get an updated kit, in all honesty, I will say.
Yeah. I mean, compared to, say, the Deadwalkers, yeah, they're relatively new. But when we saw those couple from Cursed City, you kind of got the impression that they were going to come out with these.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say about the current skeletons is we were talking about this before we went live, is the current skeleton sculpts are a bugger to put together. They have this weird hip joint that is not fun.
Yeah, they're really fragile too, really brittle in places.
Yeah. So, wasn't expecting this one, but it is most certainly welcome.
Yeah.
The big raging debate on these is whether or not they're on 25s or 28s.
I'm thinking 25, but a bit hard to tell.
Yeah, they purposely didn't show them with anything else, so
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to have that discussion again. I've made a whole video about that discussion. The zombies, this is the coolest thing.
I love the Deadwalkers. Yeah, it takes a fair bit of effort to give, what is the generic Walking Dead guy character, but they've done it. These are great.
Yeah. I think these two here that I've got on screen currently are my favorite. It's the one that's like really leaning forward with a knife sticking out, and the one that has to ask you a question.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're great.
Like the axe aside from him too, I really like the inverted feet, how he's walking like duck-footed almost.
Staggering.
The feet are almost sideways as he's walking forward.
Yeah.
The thing I definitely did not expect, I thought these were actually going to go the way of the dodo, were Fel Bats.
I think those models are outstanding.
Yeah, I think they might be the best models they've released for the entire range.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, as much as the zombies have character and they're cool and the new skeletons are nice, these guys have that oomph.
Yeah.
They just look really cool.
The posing of the bats, like the one that's like getting ready to pounce, the one that's like clearly leaning over prey, the one that's taking off, they've all got just great movement and they're awesome.
Yeah.
And then we got the Battle Tome. So it is, Death Battle Tome, Soul Black Gravelords. There's two things that people have pointed out on this to talk about, I guess, is one, there's a different looking direwolf and there's a different looking zombie dragon.
Yep. Yeah, I hope they get some really good direwolves. I've never really liked the current ones. I think they're derpy.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people do. I see Fenrisi and wolves.
Yeah,
more than I do direwolves.
Yeah, and because they, at least with the way Death plays at the moment, they've been such a staple of the armies. They updating that kit is got to be a plus.
Yeah, not just for players having cooler models, but GW probably make a bit of buck on it.
That's right.
But then, all right, so that's Soul Black Gravelords. But then we got the thing that I was not expecting.
Yeah. Cool.
Broken Realms Kragnos.
Yes, and then let the rumors fly.
So I've done a little bit of looking at this. So I pulled out Skaith's Wild Hunt. If you can see, I've got Skaith here on my desk. Was doing a bit of looking. And there's, as much as I want this to be Kurnothi, because everyone knows how much I want that, I don't think it is. That shield, to me, has chaos all over it.
Yeah, it looks a bit, and the whole sort of vibe of it felt a bit, chaosy.
Yeah. So the key note for the Kurnothi is they still retain a lot of the Wood Elf aspects in their armor plating and stuff. So they've still got all the thatched pieces. And we know they have a god already, because Kurnoth is their god.
Yeah. The only thing I think some people will cling to is that maybe the sort of Kragnos stuff is like the avatar of Kurnoth or something, but it feels too chaos for me.
It could be destruction as well.
Possibly, yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's got that ragged sort of look to it. It doesn't look order, because even though the Kurnothi are savage and stuff, they still look like order models.
I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, what we might do is, being GW playing their hands close to their chest again, we may actually get sort of a reworked complete Centaur force, based around maybe destruction.
Yeah, that would be completely welcome. Getting a whole new range of models entirely of destruction, I'm completely for.
Yeah, I mean, you think about, apart from Sons of Behemat, which, let's be fair, only really got one new kit. We haven't really seen some new destruction since the Gloomspite, and even then it was mainly just repackaging.
Updating. Yeah. Well, they got the Dank Hold. That was it, I think, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and then obviously the endless spells and stuff. But seeing a whole new from scratch destruction army like a la Deepkin or Luminesce would be really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with destruction that they seem to be missing, like the punch on, is I think destruction's got the biggest place to explore for all these sort of factions, because you can just add in destruction forces at will, really, to just go, well, they're a destructive force in this particular area of a realm. Here you go. Yeah,
and the whole sort of waking up and trashing shit because you're pissed is very destruction.
And as he said, he woke up from a mountain. So my thoughts is this is the guy that's come from Beastgrave.
Yeah, that would be the thought. Which, see, again, I mean, destruction would be cool. It could still be chaos. Chaos has messed with stuff in the Beastgrave. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you. I'd like to see it be destruction.
Yeah. No, destruction definitely need the love, and I think that's where I want it to be, as much as I want Kurnothi. And as Leonardo rightly points out, that shield is a rumor engine.
Yeah, we saw that, yeah.
And the last thing for AOS, sort of, there's one little thing we'll touch on at the end, is the new Kanan's Reapers. He is awesome and huge.
Yeah, he's cool. So, well, I think we'll probably see him in a few armies as well on the tabletop.
Yeah, I really hope so. I hope he has good rules, because if he has decent rules, he's such a cool model that you will see it on the table.
Yeah.
I think even if he's got something decent like Morgwaith and her Blade Coven, he'll see play, because Morgwaith herself doesn't do anything particularly special. She's just a hag queen, but she has all those ablative wounds that come with her, and that's why she's good.
Yeah, because the rest of the models in the warband are just pretty stock standard.
They're all Mortek Guard, except this guy, Mortek Guard with bow, because Bone Reapers weren't bad enough. We don't need a bowman.
Why not? Yeah.
I guess the only other thing to point out, though, is like the Mortek leader here has a halberd, which is a weapon we haven't seen on him. It looks very similar to the ones used by the guard ones, the ones with the shields and halberds. That's what it looks like. Yeah. Immortus Guard, that's the one.
Yeah.
But that was it for Age of Sigmar, except this down here. The new Gore Grunter kit that's coming out.
Which is, going to be supplanted, I would think.
Yeah. But the new orcs for 40k, the savage orcs for 40k.
Yeah. Very cool.
This got me excited for 40k. I was like, I dig this.
My wife's an orc fan from way back. When she saw that giant squid pig thing, she was really excited.
Yeah, no, he's cool. I expect to see a bunch of these as gore grunters.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Um,
Especially as allies in a Gloomspite army.
Yeah, or even if you're wanting like to do a big war army, but you're going very bone splitter focused, you could easily put these in instead of the other ones to keep your aesthetic.
Yep.
And then, so Sunday preview, we got Luminesce coming out. The whole Luminesce range, Broken Realms Techless at the same time.
Yep, all the stuff that we saw previously.
Yep. And then, so we won't go through that one too much because that's literally just all the stuff is coming out.
Yep.
And if you're wondering, if you're wondering on prices, if you're wondering on prices, a bunch of them have leaked, so you can go find them easy. But yeah, the jumpy guy and the kangaroo Gallimimus hybrids.
Yeah.
We then got some Luminesce Rules. So we got the two students of Tyrion and Teclis, like their prize students, Alania and Elathor.
Yeah, they're getting into this twin model thing, aren't they?
Yeah, because obviously we've seen Selesky.
Yeah.
I mean, even you go back, the Glotkin.
Yep.
Well, what's cool about them is they are effectively a Gotrek-style ally for all forces of order. That provide command points. I see these appearing in a lot of armies.
Yeah, I mean, not just those mixed order armies either. I mean, there's a lot of the order stuff that needs an update on who can ally with who, because we've had a lot of new stuff. So maybe once we get that too.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's the Realm Wanderer's rule. So the model can be included as an ally in armies that have an order general. In addition, if this model is within 3 inches of your general at the start of your hero phase on a 4+, you receive an extra command point. So it's effectively like a Age of Sigmar adjutant.
Yeah. But how many points are they? Do we know yet?
We don't know. If they're like 100 to 140 points, they will be appearing in a lot of armies.
Yeah, you'd think with a rule like that, they'd probably pump the points a bit, but they are new and improved, so...
And then they've got their cool weapon, which does damage based on the round in the game, so which could actually be really powerful late game if they're still on the table late game and they're rocking around with damage 5 in the last turn. They're going to take units off the table.
Yeah, I think I'd struggle to find in my list a sort of story reason to include them, but yeah.
It doesn't mean we're not going to see them though, unfortunately.
No, of course not. No, tournaments will be all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, if they are the right sort of point value, they'll be in a lot of lists.
Yeah.
Because like I just think about them and like a Stormcast list, the thing I was struggling for was points and stuff. So definitely something they would appear in. And then you've got Tyrion's like left hand man, right hand man,
cool.
maybe.
That one actually the model feels a lot more like old High Elf.
Yeah, very Dragon Princey Phoenix guard in the head. And he's riding like the battle llama thing.
Yeah, which looks more like a llama, not a kangaroo in that one, but
yeah, this one's got 4 legs. So he generates some extra command points as well. He's got a weird so he's only got 1 attack in melee, but it's damage 3 if it's versing chaos or demons. It's 2/2s rank 2. So there's got to be a little bit more to this, I guess.
Yeah, there's probably something else.
Either that or it's a misprint, one or the other.
I mean, 3 damage is nice, but 1 attack, he's not going to be going into a lot, is he?
No, not especially for like the main general of the Luminesce.
No.
So the last little bit of news I guess we got the new model Monday, and we got this lovely lady revealed.
Yeah, she's nice.
Like the Tim Burton vibes on this model are strong.
Like, it's not often that, you can get a model that actually is creepy, and that is just creepy. It's very cool.
Yeah, they remind me of like those really weird sort of vampire movies where they're not.
Yeah, Nosferatu.
Yeah, exactly. So really, really cool. And that is all our news. We'll leave up a pretty picture of something. There we go. Pretty picture I put up the Vikes gear. But that is all the news for today. And so where we go from here, well, let's start talking about a little bit of hobby time. What have you been up to hobby-wise?
Well, been reasonably busy trying to get through some stuff. So I got finished off my Endless Spell, my Diaflock. Got 3 of them done. And I got my Doomblast Dirge Horn.
Oh, no. Yeah, I did see you post the picture of him.
I did some more work on my Soul Grinder, which I'm doing in bits and bobs because it's hard going. My Slaneshi dude. And I'm currently working on pigs for my Tuskor chariots.
Yep. Nice.
So I'm getting some Tuskor chariots done.
Awesome. I've been working on some wood elves. I've been painting an army of Wildwood Rangers because I have a ton of wood elves. It's been ages since I've had a painted army of them on the table.
Yep.
And it needs to happen.
Yep.
So that has been my hobby. Now, there's 2 things I want to chat about. So first of all, we are going to be getting our Age of Sigmar Soulbound campaign back up and running on the channel soon. We are potentially looking for a couple more players. You would need to be able to play on a Friday, Saturday night, Australian time, if you wish to join. But if you do wish to or think you can make those times available on a regular basis, at least fortnightly, let us know. Drop us a message on Facebook or jump on the Discord, which will have a link in the video's description. And then I guess it's events. So we've got a few events happening around Australia. They're all starting to pop up now. I obviously just went to SAGT.
Yep, too far from me, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So I went to SAGT. We had Victoria GT. Both of those were amazing. And now we had Bendigo Bushbash Bonanza. Rural Roadside Redneck Rampage in Bendigo. Yes, that is entirely their thing because their other one is called Bendigo Bushside. Whatever it is. It's quadruple B. We have Sydney Slaughter announce itself. We had Raven Spire or something like that in Melbourne. Brishammer.
Sydney GT going ahead now.
Yep, Sydney GT full steam ahead. There's a ton. If you're looking for Australian events, if you are from Australia, jump onto the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Australia page and you'll find a ton of things there.
It's at the moment, it's looking like all of them are happening. So obviously watch this space in regards to COVID and stuff. But for the minute, it looks like we're full steam ahead.
Yeah, which is great. So I guess last thing before we start jumping into the main topic for this evening, any shout outs you want to give to any good hobby sort of blogs and stuff you've seen out there lately?
Actually, yeah, in terms of product, the guys, I use the bases of these guys a lot. Cobalt Keep.
Yeah.
They actually do all sorts of size bases, and they come with, if you have a look, this is just a Space Marine I'm done. The bottom actually comes ready-made with the slot for the magnet. And nice. The magnet, and they sell the package of the bases with the magnets as well. So you don't have to muck around if you want to magnetize your bases, drilling holes and stuff. Now, as cool as that is, I contacted them to get some 50mm bases for my Minotaur, my Bull Gores. And they said, look, we had a problem with them. The magnet size was too big and the magnet was a little bit too strong, so we've had to have them redesigned. So I went, okay, that's cool. Can you let me know? They said, no worries. And that was a few weeks ago. So I emailed them back and said, any news? And they said, no, look, we still haven't come in, but I'll tell you what, we'll just send you some of the other ones for nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So I've got a big stack of 50 mil bases with the magnets on the goodness of Cobalt Keep's heart. So if you want bases, if you want magnetizer bases, hook them up. They're really cool. They're in the UK, so it takes a while for stuff to arrive, but well worth a look.
Yeah, no, awesome. They sound like a top quality company. For me, I'm definitely going to give a shout out to a good mate of mine on @HowManyWounds on Twitter. He did an amazing converted Dark Elf army that I finally got to see in the flesh at SAGT. Go check out those pictures. That is a Dark Elf Luminesce army. It looks amazing. Go check him out. Cool. And I'll leave links to both those things down in the down in the description of the video later. But I think it's time we start getting and chatting about our main topic. And so we're going to be talking, as mentioned at the top of the show, about Daughters of Khaine and sort of where do they go from here. So I guess to start with, we need to talk about, well, where are they now?
Obviously, the events in Broken Realms Morathi shifted that focus a fair bit. And from an army that was, well, order, but sort of begrudgingly so, after those events, they're kind of slipping back more towards that familiar, almost dark elf feel they had prior to AOS. Stabbing people in the back, including their former allies, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, it's it'll be interesting, I think, to see when we start to see more order armies on the tabletop. How many now actually include some of those new Daughters rules, because they're pretty twisted now.
Yeah. So obviously, like the biggest events of Broken Realms is Morathi became a god.
Yep.
And she took the city.
Kind of two gods.
Yeah. She ascended to godhood. Maybe not the way she envisioned, but she did. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yep.
But also, Anvilgard got sacked and turned into Harkuron.
Yes. Which is her now little slice of heaven, if you like, outside of Ilgu.
Yeah. So it's creating this empire of Morathi. She's creating her own little empire. So the first question, so we talked about Morathi and ascending to godhood and how it didn't quite work. So let's talk a little bit about that first, because I think that's an interesting story. So what exactly was she trying to do?
Well, the thing that I think is particularly interesting there is, I mean, the whole process was she was going to steal the Realm Stone from underneath Archaon's nose. And she kind of did. I mean, she did. The plan being, of course, to use all that Varanite to, power her transformation, siphoning it off through the various cauldrons that she had with her, and all appearing in the All Cauldron back in her own home realm. But yeah, Archaon's not that big a fool, and I think we might see some payback there eventually as well. But the Varanite itself, I think, was interesting. This bubbling sort of magma realm stone with these immense properties. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's like corrupted, unstable realm stone.
Yeah. And the fact that she's using that too. I mean, that's what I said. Like, they're kind of, the Daughters of Khaine feel a little bit twisted.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so the big thing with Morathi and all of that is that while she was sort of taking on all this Varanite, she obviously opened up a big rent into Slaanesh's belly and decided that she was going to eat all the other elven souls, consume them, and empower herself over time. And so pretty much this sort of goes, well, if your elf hero is not alive now, he's dead or she's dead because Morathi ate them.
Yeah, except for that little hiccup at the end.
Yeah, and that's where an interesting story is, because so do you want to explain to us what that hiccup was?
Well, I mean, she's draining all these powerful elven souls from the world that was. And the suggestion as they go through it is most of these were actually the great elven kings of old, the Phoenix Kings and things like that. And then right in the last minute, this self-aware elven soul who's like, hey, I'm not really keen on being used by you, you horrible old witch, attacks her pretty much and severs the connection, which is what splits her in two. Instead of ascending as one godlike being, it splits her into basically the normal elven version of Morathi and the horrible, big, snaky, twisted, demony Morathi. The whole concept there, I think, was very, like, it's even like even in death, those powerful high elven souls from the world that was can't be manipulated, which was very cool.
Yeah, because it does sort of give you the impression that, like, she wasn't doing this simply, like, it was something that she struggled to do at first. And as she consumed more and more, it got that little bit easier as she sort of grew in power herself. However, that last one turns into a giant flaming sword and effectively just goes shunk.
Yep.
Cuts her spirit in half.
That whole sort of, Asuran type stuff from the world that was, it's all very, very high elf.
Yeah. I guess the big one that people are talking about is, well, who would that soul be? Because she pauses for a moment when she sees this soul. Like, Morathi, the being that she is, will use anyone to further her means, even her own son. Like, she doesn't care for a lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean, the way back with the story of Morathi, she's pretty much Morgana from the sort of Arthur legend, and that's how her son becomes born, because she dupes one of the Phoenix King into a tryst, and ultimately we end up with Malarian. Now Malarian. So I mean, is it him? Is it Malarian's dad?
Yeah, and that's the one that people were going, oh, is this an Aryan? Because that's a pretty cool name to have sitting in the works to bring back one day for Age of Sigmar, and not something that I thought they might go for. Like, the characters.
Yeah, the fact that he didn't, like, it's unclear what happened after he severed Morathi. Like, that we don't know what happened to that soul. So
I mean, and we also don't know what happens to Anarion in the old world as well. Like, he fights the demons, and all you find is the Sword of Khaine left.
Yeah,
don't actually know what happened to him.
Yeah, and the thing is too, there's also that stuff at the end of Morathi about the son or the avatar of Slaanesh. Maybe we've got some twisted version there.
Yeah. What is it? The protean form, they call it.
Yeah. I mean, the idea there is there's obviously a story to be told. I mean, perhaps that soul became empowered with Slaanesh's ickiness.
Yeah. But it's definitely like a really cool story that I think has got a lot more repercussions. Like, because also from this, Slaanesh has had many chains broken, and Slaanesh is actually putting up an illusion to make it look like they're not.
Yeah, so Morathi's scheming has also potentially put the rest of the elves in AOS at risk.
Yeah, including herself. Like,
that's right.
Make no mistake, Morathi is not chaos. She does not like chaos. It ate her. She does not want to be a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, as I said, like, yes, she's definitely not chaos, but not really a big fan of order much at the moment either. So
yeah, she is the most self-serving character. Or there's one other that fits that bill. Her and Manfred sort of fighting each other. Teclis a level below them.
Yeah, I mean, Teclis is a bit of a dick, but yeah,
he's not. Yeah,
he's not Morathi level dick.
It's Manfred and Morathi are definitely the top two, and Teclis is probably the next rung down.
Yeah. Teclis in particular with the whole, oh look, I made these fishy elves. No, I don't like them.
Come here, children. I'm going to.
Yeah. Oh, but Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Well, no. Anyway, so after all that, obviously, she then goes and betrays Sigmar as we start talking about her betraying allies.
Yeah. She stabs Sigmar in the back, says, oh, we're best buds. I'm just going to go to capture the city of yours. Thanks very much. And the cool bit there is when her forces attack the Stormcast, she tells them, don't kill them, because if you kill them, their souls are gonna shoot back to Azir, and then Azir's gonna know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So just knock them out, tie them up, whatever. Don't kill them.
You can kill everyone else though.
Yeah, kill everyone else. That's right. Just don't kill the Stormcast.
Yeah. And another interesting point of that is not all the Dark Elves sided with her.
Yes.
Which I think is the coolest part.
Yeah, so there's two, like you can actually run a remnants of Anvilgard army, or you can run the new Hark You're On. So
yeah, because there's a little short story they released where there's this free guild unit fighting, and these witch elves are like toying with how they're going to kill them and stuff. And then this privateer and his crew rock up next to him, and they're like, "Well, no, they're ours. Like captives are ours first.
Yeah,
we get first pick of like all of them." And then it ends up that he shoots the witch elf hag in the head.
Yep. Yeah. Also, I mean, the privateers obviously are self-serving as well. So any alliance that she's made is not going to last.
Yeah, she's well, it's, as he said, it's like Sigmar's given us plenty of bounty. Why would I screw this up now?
Yep, that's right. But Morathi will use whoever gets in a pass. She'll use them however she can. So.
Yeah. But talking about that, so where do we see Anvilgard and Harkuron going forward? Do we see Anvilgard sticking around, or do we see it being converted entirely into Harkuron?
Yeah, I don't know. At the moment, obviously, we've got both, but when we start to see new battle tomes, I mean, we may get a story around sort of new Anvilgard where they settle somewhere else, or even have a fleet-based Anvilgard. And then Harkuron,
because the big story, like in the Daughters of Khaine battle tome, it tells you that like effectively Sigmar and Morathi, when all the other stuff starts happening, so they've had their big fight, obviously for Anvilgard, but this is when things like you get the idea that this is when sort of the chaos and the big war stuff is all happening as well. Like these are all happening sort of almost simultaneous. A lot of these stories.
Yeah, like that's obviously what Broken Realms is about. All these big things happening at once.
Yeah, and so you sort of get that, like maybe Teclis is actually like the feeling I get is Teclis is almost the same time as this.
Yeah,
because it features none of the same players.
Yeah, it's like, well, meanwhile over here, yeah,
that's sort of the feeling I get. So. Anyway, going back to my point, at the end of this, like they realize that, oh crap, there's a lot happening around the realm. They actually make a truce, and like Sigmar actually cedes Anvilgard to Morathi properly. He cedes it.
Well, see, because Sigmar's not as nice a guy as people think either. He's pretty self-serving as well.
Yeah,
he hates chaos, but if that means I have to side with the lesser of two evils, he's going to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a great thing in what is it? The Gotrek novel, where you start reading about the stories of Morgwaith. I forget the name of the character now. The Gotrek's little elven friend that goes around her, and how she used to be fearful of the purges that like the Darkened Covens and the Daughters of Khaine in Sigmar itself used to do.
Yeah. And he just turned a blind eye to that because he needed him.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, and, these Daughters of Khaine and Darkened Coven, like, sects are allowed to just roam freely and do as they will on these particular nights.
Yeah, because, as I said, Sigmar, as long as his cause is being upheld, he's prepared to turn a blind eye to all sorts of shit.
Yeah. And Leonardo says in the chat, he's like, well, why didn't the Stormcast kill themselves in the assault on Anvilgard? I would say it's because of honor, and also Sigmar probably wouldn't maybe accept them back.
Yeah, there's all that weird stuff too about the corruption of the Stormcast souls. And, maybe that sort of, you're right, that honor stuff, but surely killing oneself would have an adverse effect on the reformation of the soul, maybe. There's that sort of stuff to think about.
Yeah. And yeah, as Nick says, he's like, I'm not sure Sigmar is so high and mighty. What he does to the Stormcast Eternals can hardly be classified as good and benevolent.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Like, I would say that like it's a lot clearer a line in Age of Sigmar than it is in 40k. Like, the good guys are clearly the good guys in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Like, Chaos are clearly bad. Sigmar is clearly a good guy. It doesn't mean that he is a good person.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to word it.
Yeah, it's that whole thing about, well, would you rather be, enslaved by someone who's more or less benevolent, or enslaved to Khorne who's likely to eat you if you mess up?
Yeah, I think that's the line. And I think that's why they especially don't use the word good and bad. They use chaos and order.
Yeah.
It's not so much being good.
Yeah. Order is obviously the polar opposite to chaos, so it doesn't mean that they're good.
Yeah, it means that they're order.
Yes.
Like, law and order, like, you can look in anything. Like, law and order doesn't necessarily mean it's good law and order. You can have bad law and order and all that sort of stuff.
It's that whole sort of the D&D, the sort of lawful evil type alignment thing. Like, yes, they're obeying the law, but they're interpreting it their own way.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Anvilgar one's like definitely an interesting illustration where we go from there. And well, what does that mean for like the Dark Elf stuff that appears in it? Does, when we get a new Cities of Sigmar book, Harkonnen appear in that, or do we get a different? Do we get like a City of Morathi book? Does Harkonnen become its own faction?
Well, we might actually, possibly even get sort of Elves of Order type book. Where because we haven't, like, people were fairly concerned for a long while, even after Cities of Sigmar came out, that those older armies, those older models like the Darkling Covens, which obviously were predominantly the old Dark Elves and things like that, would go away. Whereas now, with the events of this, they're obviously cemented in the lore. So, we might see something different.
Yeah, and I think there was a cool thought I had about this. By picking and choosing what they want to sort of take in this, like by choosing all these Dark Elf units, they give the potential to update the sculpts and maybe change the look of them a bit with this.
Yeah.
When they redo them. Like, because now they've gone like, this is now like Harkonnen, this isn't Cities of Sigmar, we've slightly changed it. They can take out those old Dark Elf models and reimagine them in Age of Sigmar now and have them, that's how the lore works.
What they could also do is, with that in mind, is in addition to a Cities of Sigmar book, they could just have a free Cities of the Realms book. In which case, we take away that sort of focus on Sigmar's free guilds and stuff, and then we could have the Elven cities and that sort of stuff. The
Dwarven city and a city, even like, I don't know, a city that's befriended ogres, because we know that like order, destruction, and death especially actually work together quite a lot. It's generally chaos that are the
big bad guys.
Yeah. And like, that's an interesting thing with Age of Sigmar, is like, I think a lot of people forget that, is that it is effectively the other three Grand Alliances versus chaos.
Yeah.
As much as death and destruction sometimes don't play friend with order, order doesn't itself. What Nagash has done to Sigmar is no different to what Morathi just did.
Yeah.
Like, it's all the same.
And that's when we remember in the initial lore too, and the initial pantheon of gods had all of them, Nagash and Gorka, Morka, and everyone together fighting against chaos.
Yeah.
So, and this was like Morathi, as much as she's a twisted cow, she still opposes Slaanesh with all of her being. Yeah. So, Sigmar's going to use that if he can. Yeah.
And it's the same thing as like talking about Nagash. It's like his most hated enemy is Archaon. He wants nothing more than to turn Archaon to dust. Archaon has now, I think, twice defeated him. Well, now defeated him and defeated his most trusted generals.
Yeah. So if there came a chance for some sort of alliance of convenience to finally drop him, Nagash would probably be in there.
Yeah. That's sort of also why like Chaos continues to be the big bad in Age of Sigmar. Like, regardless of any place, like that's why Chaos has always held that this step above is the big bad, is because the others are generally either with order or against in other.
Yeah. And I think, you've got to bear in mind too, from a storytelling perspective, GW's hands are pretty much tied with 40k now. So as much as Chaos is for all supposed to be the big bad guy in 40k, there's so many other big bad guys that Chaos tends to sort of drift away a little bit. Whereas in Sigmar, they can be the big, scary, horrible thing that they're supposed to be. And that's why we have the desperate alliances from, you know, orc gods and death gods and everything to try and push them back.
It's cool. It's cool seeing cross-grain alliance, and I like people always talk about it. They would love to see like the Glimsford or like a Realm of Death army where you can take Cities of Sigmar alongside like skeletons of their ancestors. I'm like, awesome. I'm like, I would love to see that on the tabletop. I have no idea how you make those rules work. That's not my issue.
Well, I mean, you could almost do it before when mercenaries were still a thing. I was planning on trying to do that with
the Necromancer.
Yeah, take the Necromancer and a shitload of zombies and a couple of corpse carts alongside your Shaishian city. Yeah, but yeah, it's a bit hard now.
But yeah, and like speaking of that, like that sort of stuff can come about really coolly. I like how they're going with allies recently with the 1 in 4 rule.
Yeah.
I don't know whether maybe this will be the way forward for allies. I think it's a much better mechanic than the current ally system.
But I think too they need to hopefully with a new yearly book, which my brain is not working.
Oh, the General's Handbook.
General's Handbook, yeah. Maybe they can address some of the alliance issues, because there's still a lot of armies that have got new models and things that don't really fit properly in the alliance structure.
Yeah. And we are seeing like alliances change. Like you were talking about it before with Morathi and the Daughters of Khaine like changing. In the new book, they only have Daughters of Khaine and Cities of Sigmar. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get an FAQ to say that Cities of Sigmar is Dark Coven, Scourge, Privateers, Shadow Blades, Order Serpentis only.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the same thing applies in Slaanesh too. Slaanesh with in Morathi and then in the new Hedonites book, they changed the wording of, you know, Slaanesh from models with the Slaanesh ability to models with the Hedonite keyword. So a lot of those older books that had Slaanesh battalions like Beasts and Slaves to Darkness don't work anymore.
No. And I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, like having your book solely work within your book. Maybe that's the way they go forward. But we're getting a bit sidetracked here from what our main topic is. Good little discussion there. So I guess the last thing to talk about today, and sorry, I'll just go into Luan. We've talked about Kragnos, about what we think about him. We probably think he's not Kurnothi. If you want to see our full little thing, you can go back to just the start of the video. Once we're done, you'll be able to see our full thoughts on that and a breakdown. But we're pretty sure he's not Kurnothi. We're hoping destruction, but he's possibly also chaos, is our general thought. But a full breakdown a bit earlier on. Anyway, but Morathi, her part to play, like we talked about Anvilgard, but what does she have to do now? Like, how does she start affecting the realm? Do we see her now playing a much more major role in like the stories going forward, or is this just her big time in the spotlight and she's now going to go back to what she was doing?
Well, I don't know. And from a storytelling perspective, she's kind of got what she wanted. I mean, obviously she's pretty self-serving, so there's always more to be had. But in terms of sort of launching a crusade a la, Nagash or something, probably not, from my mind. I mean, she'll cement and hold what she's got. She took Anvilgard. She's now got a foothold outside of Ulgu. Maybe she just sort of sees how things play out. I'm not sure. So, in regards to Anvilgard itself, he dropped out. Looks like we're frozen. I'm not sure if you can still hear me or not, but Luke appears to have frozen. So my mind would be, I'm not sure where she goes from here. if she's actually succeeded in her objectives, well, there's not much for her to do. Nope, lost him. Yep, so it looks like we've lost Luke. Hopefully he's coming back shortly.
All right, we're
Here
back.
we go. You're back?
Cool.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Still
everyone.
Yep.
Just got a message.
Whoop, no, not the best connection. We're bouncing around a bit. No. Nope, frozen again. That damned Australian internet. I don't think that's my end because everything here still says I'm going. So the other thing, of course, to consider, assuming everyone can still hear me, that we're talking about when we're talking about Morathi, is that she potentially has, a whole new army under her command in regards to the daughters, not just the daughters, but the Darkling Covens and the Serpentis that were Anvilguard. So if she really wants to attack the realm, she can do so through puppets. She doesn't need to actually do it herself, which is also something very Morathi, because she can get away with not putting herself or her immediate vassals in danger. She can do that, which she didn't have the luxury of before. I'm not sure how that would play out in regards to someone like Sigmar, who does, or much as he's made a truce with her now. Does that mean he'd be quite happy with her basically stealing some of his subjects for her own ends? Guess we'll see. We back?
All right. I think I'm.
Nope, he's gone again. We've had for those people that aren't in Australia, we've got a whole lot of storms here at the moment, which may be playing havoc with our internet. Not so much where Luke is, though, so more at my end. And okay, looks like Luke's not coming back, so just reply to him. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to sort out, maybe continue this next time, maybe in the next little while we ought to finish off the show. Until then, as Luke would say, keep fighting the war against the grey, and hopefully we'll be able to finish next time. See you later.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. If you're still watching, but we're going to have to end this another time as my internet decided it's going to die on me. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well. And most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now. I'll chat to you all soon.